mechanical muscles, stronger, more reliable, and more tireless than human muscles ever could be. And that's a good thing. Replacing human labor with mechanical muscles frees people to specialize, and that leaves
Yeah,
everyone better off, even those still
for
doing
sure.
physical labor. This is how economies grow and standards of living rise. Some people have specialized to be programmers and engineers whose job is to build mechanical minds. Just as mechanical muscles made human labor less in demand, so are
Oh, there's
mechanical
an
minds
anvil there?
making human brain labor less in demand. This is an
Oh,
economic revolution. You may think we've been here before, but we haven't. This
wait,
time
really?
is different.
What you mean?
When you think of automation, you probably think of this: giant, custom-built, expensive, efficient, but really dumb robots blind to
Yeah.
the world and their own work. They were a scary kind of automation, but they haven't taken over the world because they're only cost-effective in narrow situations. But they're the old kind of automation. This is the new kind. Meet Baxter. Unlike these things, which require skilled operators and technicians and millions of dollars, Baxter has vision and can learn what you want him to do by watching you do it, and he costs less than the average annual salary of a human worker. Unlike his older brothers, he isn't pre-programmed for one specific job. He can do whatever work is within the reach of his arms.
What?
Baxter is what might
Like
be thought
anything?
of as a general-purpose
Anything?
robot, and general purpose is a big deal. Think computers. They too started out as highly custom and highly expensive, but when cheap-ish general-purpose computers appeared, they quickly became vital to everything. A general-purpose computer can just as easily calculate change or assign seats on an airplane or play a game or do anything just by swapping its software. And this huge demand for computers of all kinds is what makes them both more powerful and cheaper every year. Baxter today is the computer of the 1980s. He's not the apex,
Damn.
but the beginning. Even if Baxter is slow, his hourly cost is pennies worth of electricity, while his meat-based competition costs minimum wage. A tenth the speed is still cost-effective when it's 100th the price. And while Baxter isn't as smart as some of the other things we will talk about, he's smart enough to
Like
take
horses?
over many low-skilled jobs. And we've already seen how dumber robots than Baxter can replace jobs. In new supermarkets, what used to be 30 humans is now one human overseeing 30 cashier robots.
Damn.
Or take the hundreds of thousands of baristas employed worldwide. There's a barista robot coming for them. Sure, maybe your guy makes the double mocha whatever just perfect and you'd never trust anyone else, but millions of people don't care and just want a decent cup of coffee.
True
And
that.
by the way, this robot is actually
Just like,
a giant.
bro, are we serious? Like, if you do stuff like that, like, isn't a fun part of going to somewhere just talking with like whoever is giving you a service, like entertaining for both? I'm not sure though. I think I'm just like, I don't know if most people talk with or interact with anyone who isn't just, you know, a friend or something. I suggest you do that because it's like you get to know a whole different world of people out there, bruh. People have their own lives, and it's kind of hard to comprehend that. And honestly, to an extent, it's like very existential trying to comprehend that. Don't comprehend it. Like, you don't need to understand that every single person on this planet has their own life. They have their own, like, movie that spans hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. But, like, so what? Even just a glimpse into that is a beautiful thing. So just talk, bruh. First lesson of the day. I don't know why I said it like that. First lesson of the day. Talk with people outside. Random people, not just friends. People at a bus station. Even just greet like people. Ask people how their day is going when you pass by. Because chances are, you know, 8 out of 10 people are gonna be like, oh, good. But the 2 out of 10 chance that someone will stop and tell you about their day is a really beautiful thing. What I think, you know, that's what I think, but I'm not sure. You know, do what you want ultimately. You know, if you'd like to stay at home gooning and you go outside, you know, sit on a bench and goon on a bench, you know, do that. That might be against the law, but ultimately, you know, I'm not condoning any type of actions or nothing, but if you want to goon outside, get arrested, oh, bro, that's your choice. I'm proud of you. Proud no matter what.
network of robots that remembers who you are and how you like your coffee no matter where you are. Pretty convenient. We think of technological change as the fancy new expensive stuff, but the real change comes from last decade stuff getting cheaper and faster. That's what's happening to robots now. And because their mechanical minds are capable of decision-making, they are out-competing humans for jobs in a way no pure mechanical muscle ever could. Imagine a pair of horses in the early 1900s talking about technology. One worries all these new mechanical muscles will make horses unnecessary. The other reminds him that everything so far has made their lives easier. Remember all that farm work? Remember running from coast to coast delivering mail? Remember riding into battle? All terrible. These new city jobs are pretty cushy, and with so many humans in the cities, there will be more jobs for horses than ever. Even if this car thingy takes
Did horses
off,
really say this?
There will be new jobs for horses we can't imagine. But you, dear viewer from Beyond 2000, know what happened. There are still working horses, but nothing like before. The horse population peaked in 1915. From that point on, it was nothing but down. There isn't a rule of economics that says better technology makes more better jobs for horses. It sounds shockingly dumb to even say that out loud, but swap horses for humans and suddenly people think it sounds about right. As mechanical muscles pushed horses out of the economy, mechanical minds will do the same to humans. Not immediately, not everywhere, but in large enough numbers and soon enough that it's going to be a huge problem if we're not prepared, and
Really?
we're not prepared. You, like the second horse, may look at the state of technology now and think it can't possibly replace your job, but technology gets better, cheaper, and faster at a rate biology can't match. Just as the car was the beginning of the end for the horse, so now does the car show us the shape of things to come. Self-driving cars aren't the future, they're here.
So, are we gonna be replaced by cars, bruh? And then we're gonna be talking like horses, and then we're gonna become horses, is what this guy's saying. I don't know about you guys. I think it's happening. I think this is true. I think people are becoming horses. I think the truth is that people are horses. Now that I think about it. Sarah Jessica Parker. Need I say more?
And they work. Self-driving cars have traveled hundreds of thousands of miles up and down the California coast and through cities, all without human intervention. The question is not if they'll replace cars, but how quickly. They don't need to be perfect, they just need to be better than us.
Wait, so are cars horses?
By the way, kill 40,000 people a year with cars
Holy
just in the United States. Given that self-driving cars don't blink, don't text while driving, don't get sleepy or stupid, it's easy to see them being better than humans because they already are. Now, to describe self-driving cars as cars...
Are they gonna replace my DoorDash driver? I can't DoorDash peanut butter at 4 in the morning anymore? Bro, this is outrageous, bro. Oh wait, no, I guess a car will just, deliver it to me, or like a drone or something. Okay, yeah, I'd be fine with that. I'll just shoot down the drone and steal it too, I guess.
Cars at all is like calling the
Take
first
free
cars
stuff.
mechanical
The world
horses.
is yours.
Cars in all their forms are so much more than horses that using the name limits your thinking about what they can even do. Let's call self-driving cars what they really are. Autos, the solution to the transport objects from point A to point B problem. Traditional cars happen to be human-sized to transport humans, but tiny autos can work in warehouses and gigantic autos can work in pit mines. Moving stuff around is who knows how many jobs, but the transportation industry in the United States employs about 3 million people. Extrapolating worldwide, that's something like 70 million jobs at a minimum. These jobs are over. The usual argument is that the unions
Taxis
will prevent
are
it,
horses?
but history is filled with workers who fought technology that would replace them, and the workers always lose. Economics always wins, and there are huge incentives across wildly diverse industries to adopt autos. For many,
I understand. Economics are horses, bruh. That makes sense. Because, you'd be talking to, like, maybe, a horse. Bruh, what does a horse ultimately stand for? HORSE. Have our returns safely endowed. They want the money.
transportation companies, humans are about a third their total costs. That's just the straight salaries. Humans sleeping in their long-haul trucks cost time and money, accidents cost money, carelessness costs money. If you think insurance companies will be against it, guess what? Their perfect driver is one who pays their small premiums and never gets into an accident. The autos are coming, and they're the first place where most people will really see the robots changing society. But there are many other places in the economy where the same thing is happening, just less visibly. So it goes with
What?
autos, so it goes for everything.
Damn.
It's easy to look at autos and Baxters
It's
and think
horse-shaped.
technology has always gotten rid of low-skilled jobs we don't want people doing anyway. They'll get more skilled and do better educated jobs like they've
Do you
always
think
done.
they're gonna
Even
get
at
rid of like sperm donation and stuff? But you know you can get like $500 per donation or something, and you can donate a minimum of 5 times per donation. My freshman, what's her name? My freshman homeroom teacher told me about that. You know, apparently you can just drive to like, you know, 5 times, like I guess consecutively, and do that. Then just go around and go around. Bro, this is the side hustle, bro. It's all about, oh damn, that's annoying. Damn. Never mind. Oh, that's just a video, bro.
Ignoring the problem
my
of
bad.
pushing 100 million additional people through higher education, white-collar work is no safe haven either. If your job is sitting in front of a screen and typing and clicking, like maybe you're supposed to be doing right now, the bots are coming for you too, buddy. Software bots are both intangible and way faster and cheaper than physical robots. Given that white-collar workers are, from a company's perspective, both more expensive and more numerous, the incentive to automate their work is greater than low-skilled work.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
that's
like,
just what automation
yeah and no, I guess. Especially with like tech field, ultimately like cybersecurity jobs are a lot less volatile. I mean, like specifically with the AI market stuff, than people would think. Specifically because of the guidelines. I know NIST recently uploaded their, yeah, not recently, I think it's like 2 years ago or something, their AI framework. Ultimately, these frameworks need to be like very closely controlled by the people working with them. Tools, I guess, like AI is just a tool ultimately. Like, especially like for tech jobs, it really isn't like a thing to replace an analyst, because ultimately the analyst, there's so much more, I guess, that needs to be done for the analyst position. I'm not quite sure though, because, you know, I'm not a tech analyst or anything. But what I do know is that like you can implement AI maybe as an IDF or something, Israeli Defense Force, true, or an IDE. My bad. And all that it would really do is that you can automate the system. Broader concept with MCP recently, but I suppose like it can't necessarily get rid of like analysts in that position. It just provides way more context for the analyst himself to work with, which is ideal. You know, it makes your job like infinitely easier. But there also maybe like, is there like some concern with the amount of money that they'll be receiving? I guess there's other jobs too that will inherently replace humans with the AI. It's kind of scary, because I guess we are constructing a god, if you think about it in a sense, I suppose. Like, AI has as much context as we need it to have. It's not conscious yet, but the reason why it seems like it's conscious is because of how much context we provide it. Especially recently with the MCP, I guess, not how do you say the word, implementation into like a lot of the new AI agents, but they have like infinite context now. They know like literally everything, and they're just like, do you see the gap between my eye? They're that close to understanding. Like, damn, I got a pretty big gap, like Sith. Anyways, they're pretty close to being conscious, but also not. Consciousness, do you guys think AI will ever become conscious? I mean, I think it can get pretty close I think it can get to a point where we think it's consciousness mainly because of how much information it can process. But that ultimately leads back to the fact that, like, are we even conscious? Like, our brain can technically, I guess, like, how do I say this? Process like a million things. Like, it can be like, I mean, like, servitors are really not that far-fetched of an idea in 40K, because the human brain is just like a million computers, a million supercomputers. Do you think the consciousness is just like the ability to process like a bunch of stuff? Well, I mean, I guess at that point, like, if you believe you're conscious, because, like, at this point we're just arguing semantics and stuff. Because, like, you know, at what point does the illusion of free will actually become free will, you know? Okay, well, I'm just saying a bunch of stuff, guys. I don't know anything about
Engineers
nothing.
are
Don't listen
for.
to me.
These are skilled programmers whose entire job is to replace your job with a software bot. You may think even the world's smartest automation engineer could never make a bot to do your job, and you may be right, but the cutting edge of programming isn't super smart programmers writing bots, it's super smart programmers writing bots that teach themselves how to do things the programmer could never teach them to do. How that works is well beyond the scope of this video, but the bottom line is there are limited ways to show a bot a bunch of stuff to do, show the bot a bunch of correctly done stuff, and it can figure out how to do the job to be done. Even with just a goal and no knowledge of how to do it, the bots can still learn. Take the stock market, which in many ways is no longer a human endeavor. It's mostly bots that taught themselves to trade stocks, trading stocks with other bots that taught themselves.
Oh, what?
As a result, the floor of the New York Stock
that's kind of
Exchange
crazy.
isn't filled with traders doing their day jobs anymore. It's largely a TV set. So bots have learned the market, and bots have learned to write. If you've picked up a newspaper lately, you've probably already read a story written by a bot.
Yeah.
There are companies that teach bots to write anything: sports stories, TPS reports, even, say, those quarterly reports that you write at work. Paperwork, decision-making, writing, a lot of human work falls into that category, and the demand for human mental labor in these areas is on the way down. But surely the professions are still safe from bots, yes?
Well, I guess that's true. Especially when you think of like chat bots and stuff like that. I don't know necessarily how much it impacts that specific market when it comes to like hiring people and stuff, but I assume that, you know, a few jobs have been taken up by chatbots and stuff like that. One of my teachers actually, like, or maybe more, I think it's like that job has been taken away, but more have been added, because I have like that same freshman teacher, actually. That's kind of funny. My homeroom teacher that told me about the sperm banks, she moved or she stopped teaching the next year because she got a job at a bank programming AI chat bots. So that's the thing. Like, I mean, give and take, you know, you take away an entry-level job, I suppose, for a job that takes more effort. So in a sense, like, maybe stuff is just, I guess the future is kind of setting itself to be like a more specialized towards these specific fields. But like ultimately, yeah, that's kind of harming the average person, I assume, but damn. Oh.
When you think lawyer, it's easy to think of trials, but the bulk of lawyering is actually drafting legal documents, predicting the likely outcome and impact of lawsuits, and something called discovery, which is where boxes of paperwork gets dumped on the lawyers and they need to find the pattern or the one out-of-place transaction among it all. This can be bot work. Discovery, in particular, is already not a human job in many law firms. Not because there isn't paperwork to go through, there's more of it than ever, but because clever research bots shift through millions of emails and memos and accounts in hours, not weeks, crushing human researchers in terms of not just cost and time, but most importantly, accuracy. Bots don't get sleepy reading through a million emails. But that's the simple stuff.
Facts,
IBM
bruh.
has a...
I mean, like, you can also not get sleepy. Just, like, chug a bunch of energy drink and take some kratom. Electrolytes too, probably. You'll never sleep. Take meth, bruh. yeah, I'm not condoning, but I've seen people go on meth trips for days. Personally seen it, probably not. But I spiritually felt it, you know. I've seen you, Devin. Devin's a kind man. He probably doesn't do meth, but you know, hypothetically, I saw him take meth and stay up for 5 days. Is the truth of what I'm saying.
Bot named Watson. You may have seen him on TV destroy humans at Jeopardy, but that was just a fun side project for him. Watson's day job is to be the best doctor in the world, to understand what people say in their own words and give back accurate diagnoses. He's already doing that at Sloan Kettering, giving guidance on lung cancer treatments. Just as autos don't need to be perfect, they just need to make fewer mistakes than humans, the same goes for doctor bots. Human doctors are by no means perfect. The frequency and severity of misdiagnoses are terrifying,
Oh damn,
and
yeah,
human
that's
doctors
like
are severely limited in
disturbing
dealing
to
with a
think
human's
about.
complicated medical history. Understanding every drug and every drug's interaction with every other drug is beyond the scope of human knowability, especially
know
when
it.
there are
Just
research
take 'em all,
robots
bro, and
whose
you'll
whole
find out.
job it is to test
Okay,
thousands
don't do that,
of new
don't do
drugs at a time. And human doctors can only improve through their own experiences. Doctor bots can learn from the experience of every doctor bot, can read the latest in medical research, and keep track of everything that happens to all their patients worldwide,
Damn, that's
and
true.
make correlations that would be impossible to
And
find.
that's what I was talking about. Like, MCP protocol was such like an unbelievably huge advancement in the tech field, because I guess the way it works is your AI agent interacts with the MCP protocol server that you've set up. MCP, I don't know why I said protocol after MCP. It's like in the thing. Okay, whatever. And that refers to a million different APIs that have been, you know, put in the server itself, to like actually, you know, be able to reference those things. It uses, let's say, an example like a weather API. You put that in the MCP server. You ask it. You're like, bro, what's the weather? Like, tell me right now, what's the weather? It goes into the server, and then from the server, it accesses the API call. Then from there, it goes to the, I guess, like the actual API service, and the API service sends it back to the MCP server, which then sends it back to the AI agent. And then, well, that's just like very overcomplicated or whatever, but there are a bunch of like, I guess, dangers when talking about MCP with AI implementation stuff. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff. I'm sorry, bro. Isn't it so fire though? You don't like this? Okay, anyways, big thing is like, you know, the server itself can be poisoned, and like degraded, I suppose. Like if an API, especially if you're not getting them from like reputable libraries and stuff like that, an API call can be used to, I guess, degrade the trust model of the AI, which actually becomes like a huge issue in especially like medical services, probably like financial services and stuff like that too, because what will end up happening is that bias, I guess, can be formed, not like racism or something, but like, I guess the AI can be told false information, like given false information, through poisoning of the MCP server itself with whatever, you know, fake API nonsense it has. And once the AI trust model is degraded, like it'll just start lying for no reason, by the way. Like it'll just be like, you'll ask it, you know, like, which direction is left? Is this left? Or is this left? And I'll be like, this is left. And then you ask it to explain. It'll just start hallucinating. It'll be like, yeah, this is left because I said so, and it is true, and that is the reality of the situation. And, you know, that can be pretty bad in a medical context. For obvious reasons, I suppose. I just can't think of any, like, immediate situation, as I'm brain frozen. But, I guess there's also the fact that, like, there isn't any hard regulations. Like, I mean, NIST uploaded a framework to properly implement AI into these stuff, but they're not guidelines. I think maybe to get stricter on, I suppose, like the security around this would be ideal, because anyone can make an MCP server. It's like, it doesn't have to be like some super crazy company or something. You can make your own for whatever purpose you want and just load whatever API you want onto that server. Maybe you can have one for picking like a specific type of music or playing it a certain type of way or doing whatever the hell you want to do, I guess. And people can technically use these MCP servers to carry out really sophisticated cybersecurity attacks, and really leave very little trace or evidence of what, you know, they're doing, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure MCP servers are pretty hard to audit, just by their very nature. Like, you got the AI agent interacting with these API calls. Either you can get rid of the evidence, or there just really isn't any evidence to go over. I guess it depends on the context. Also, you know, I wrote a paper on this and I totally forgot a lot about it because it was a few semesters ago. 2 semesters, okay, whatever, it's only been 2 semesters, whatever. But yeah, let's go back to the video.
Otherwise,
we're becoming horses,
not all
guys.
doctors will go away, but when the doctor bots are comparable to humans and they're only as far away as your phone, the need for general doctors will be less. So professionals, white-collar workers, and low-skill workers all have things to worry about from automation. But perhaps you are unfazed because you're a special creative snowflake. Well, guess what? You're not that special.
Liberal snowflake. Yeah. This is specifically, I guess, like, what I was kind of worried about. Is, well, I don't know if this is what he's talking about, but bots in place of like creative work and stuff like that kind of bums me out. Creative work, creative design work, I suppose any work that has to do with humans, like humans just doing stuff, it kind of gets me pressed. Well, we're at a point in time where it's kind of obvious to see what is AI and what isn't, I guess. And sometimes AI can be funny, bruh. Like, that image that is on the top left, I don't know if that's AI generated. I got that image like years ago. But like, AI can do some pretty funny stuff, I suppose. But ultimately, I don't know if it'll ever surpass like these, I guess, freelancing creative jobs. Unless people just really don't care, which I think is the case. Like, I think the common person really does not care about, like, oh, this looks AI generated, but people just want to see stuff, I guess. You know, regular person, I guess it goes with music too. The majority of people, probably like, I don't know, like 70% of people probably don't even care about music all that much. That's why so many people listen to the radio and don't really use Spotify or pick out their own music, because they just don't care. It's not important to them, and that's fine. Like, I don't have an issue with that. But ultimately, like, that makes up the majority of the population. Like, these people don't care about media of any form. And, you know, once this AI content starts getting generated, if it does, I personally don't believe that AI will continue to, I guess, run through all of these creative jobs, specifically because it is becoming a very specific thing. I think it'll be highly targeted towards tech fields. These tools that you can use, not necessarily as a form of replacement. And, you know, not to get political or anything, but probably like stricter guidelines are not going to be put in place, at least this term, due to the, I guess, the party's like stance on AI. They like it a lot, and that's fine. I don't care. I'm not really political or anything, but I think that in the future, probably AI will get a lot stricter and a lot more, I guess, uniformed in what they want to use it for, I suppose. Uniform, I don't think that's the correct word, but I don't know many words, to be fair. You know, I go outside sometimes, and I be seeing people walk. Bro, there's a lot of homeless people over here, bro. They're building like low-income housing. I actually went there at nighttime when they weren't constructing it. It was fun. It was fine, I guess. There wasn't much to do. It was just an empty building. On the way out, we met this dude just walking, jumping the fence. Nice guy, really. I don't know what his name was. I didn't ask because it was funny. I was laughing. I didn't have time to ask. He also left. The person I was with said no witnesses. I don't know if that man is dead. I personally didn't do anything to him.
Creativity may feel like magic, but it isn't. The brain is a complicated machine, perhaps the most complicated machine in the whole universe.
Yeah,
but that
I was
hasn't
talking
stopped
about
us
that
from
earlier.
trying to simulate it. There is this notion that just as mechanical muscles allowed us to
Are we
move into
robots?
thinking jobs,
Are
that
horses
mechanical minds
robots?
will allow us to move into creative work. But even if we assume the human mind is magically creative, it's not, but just for the sake of argument, artistic creativity isn't what the majority of jobs depend on. The number of writers and poets and directors and actors and artists who actually make a living doing their work is a tiny, tiny portion of the labor force. Given that these are professions dependent on popularity, they'll always be a very small portion of the population. There can't be such a thing as a poem and painting-based economy. Oh, by the way, this music in the background that you're listening to, it was written by a bot.
Kovac is talking
Her name
so
is Emily
much.
Howell, and she can write an infinite amount of new music all day for free. And people can't tell the difference between her and human composers when put to a blind test. Talking about artificial creativity gets weird fast. What does that even mean? But nonetheless, it's a developing field. People used to think that playing chess was a uniquely creative human skill that machines could never do, right up until the point they beat the best of us.
Oh,
and so it will go for all.
Who is that? I don't know him. Is he really the best of us? If I don't even know him? Like, are we serious, bruh?
Right. This may have been a lot to take in, and you might want to reject it. It's easy to be cynical of the endless and idiotic predictions of futures that never are. So that's why it's important to emphasize again that
what is the guy doing?
And idiotic take in, and you might want to reject it. It's easy to be cynical of the endless and idiotic predictions of.
Bro, what? Bro, imagine getting a job, and this is just your job, just doing this. Is he on the moon or something? Is it dude in outer space? What is going? Why is he flying, bro?
Futures that never are. So that's why it's important to emphasize again that this stuff isn't science fiction. The robots are here right now. There is a terrifying amount.
I've been scared of those robot dogs,
in
bro.
labs and
What if like
around the world?
They need it.
We have been through
I can't even pause the video. They need to put like leashes on those things, bro. Imagine like just a robot dog. You're walking in the street. I think I've seen one time. Imagine he just walks up to you and pulls out a gun and shoots you, bro. I would be so bummed out. I'd be bleeding on the floor, and I'd be so mad. I'd be like, I thought I was gonna die doing something cool, like going to the bottom of the ocean or being launched into space or something. Maybe meeting a dinosaur. Not being shot by a robot dog. They're about to have robot dogs, gang shootouts in the hood. I for one probably don't want that happening, especially in Baltimore. Hashtag those who know. I'm pretty worried for the state of this world, guys. People are becoming horses. Are we serious? I don't want to become a horse. And it's happening. Bruh, Sarah Jessica Parker is real. I've seen her on television. I saw her on Family Guy.
Revolutions before, but the robot revolution is different. Horses aren't unemployed now because they got lazy as a species.
Bruh,
they're
horses are bums.
There's little work that a horse can do to pay for its housing and hay. And many bright, perfectly capable humans will find themselves the new horse, unemployable through no fault of their own. But if you still think new jobs will save us, here is one final point to consider. The US Census in 1776 tracked...
I mean, like I said, it's a give and take thing. I don't know what he's gonna say. It's about to disprove everything I say. But I mean, jobs get replaced, new jobs get put in place. I don't know. I guess people are just gonna have to start looking for a specific subset of skills that employers want to see. But I don't know. IDK, bruh.
Only a few kinds of jobs. Now, there are hundreds of kinds of jobs, but the new ones are not a significant part of the labor force. Here's the list of jobs ranked by the number of people who perform them. It's a sobering list with the transportation industry at the top. Continuing downward, all of this
Where's
work
DoorDash?
existed in some form 100 years ago, and almost all of them are easy targets for automation. Only when we get to
Okay.
number 33 on the list is there finally something new. Don't think that every barista or white-collar worker need lose their job before things are a problem. The unemployment rate during the Great Depression was 25%. The list above
What?
is 45% of the workforce.
Well,
what
I
we
have
talked
heard
about
that.
today,
I have heard that we're like living in the modern day, like modern depression or something, modern Great Depression. Is this true, bro? I mean, people seem more depressed. I go outside, bro, and I be waving at people. I'm like, yo, what's up? Bro, they just look at me with this, disgust. They might wave back at me, but I don't know. People just hate me, I think. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm like, probably very sweaty, disheveled because I've been skating for like 2 hours at that point. I got like disgusting knees, I think. Maybe people think I'm like mentally ill. Maybe I am. I'm not sure. But people are just not as kind as they used to be, I think. People were probably never kind, I'll be honest. People used to, see black people and be like, yo, you're not normal. And like now, people see black people. And, when I see a black person, I'm like, huh, that's a, beautiful BBW. Those are inherently my favorite type of BBWs, in my opinion. And, the reason why I think that robots will really never take over is because how can a robot take over a BBW job? Bro, like, a robot can't be a BBW. Like, you can't simulate all that movement from, like, those rolls of just, beauty and stuff. That's just a fact, bro. That's the fact of the matter. People might become horses, but I'll tell you this. If I become a horse, I'll become the strongest horse and have the fattest BBW ride on top of me. I'm fine with that. I'll become a horse. I don't care.
Stuff that already works can push us over that number pretty soon. And given that even in our modern technological wonderland, new kinds of work aren't a significant portion of the economy, this is a big problem. This video isn't about how automation is bad, rather that automation is inevitable. It's a tool to produce abundance for little effort. We need to start thinking now about what to do when large sections of the population are unemployable through no fault of their own. What to do in a future where, for most jobs, humans need not apply.
Okay, well, that was a good video and all. And like the information was presented nicely, and I like the stuff that he talked about. Some of the stuff was fine. There is both a lot and not enough of fear surrounding AI, I think. People are blowing it out of proportion. Other people are not, and are completely fine with being complacent and just using the AI and stuff like that. And that's fine, I guess. Do what you want. But if you take anything from this video, have it be that people are horses. Or no, the fact of the matter is that people are becoming horses.